Whenever you see this video, it's for you. I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to get through all of this. I'm supposed to keep going. It sounds cute, but I don't know. Like, I'm really supposed to go up all of these things. I don't know. It's a little bit complex for me. I am currently in the mountains of Puerto Rico, and it has been very, very interesting. One of the biggest messages that I have received being here is a message about fear. Fear is a vibration at the end of the day. Just like love is a vibration. You can literally see the water. Now here's a little backstory. As I'm talking about fear, I'm literally changing my mind because I was going to hike towards a waterfall, but this hike is really, so it rains a lot and it has a lot of like big rocks and stuff, and I don't want to slip and fall because I'm holding this camera trying to vlog and share some downloads with you guys. So I'm gonna see if the other trail is a little bit easier. If not, then y'all gonna get what y'all gonna get. Even though I am offline, I still was just like, you know what, I have to just channel right here in this moment, because I'm not gonna get this moment ever again, not this exact moment. So that's why it was important to me to just like go ahead and channel some downloads and some messages right here while I'm in the mountains of Puerto Rico. There's fear, and then there's not being a complete dumbass and risking your life. So what I was saying earlier is that ultimately, at the end of the day, fear is a vibration. So what I noticed as I came into the mountains, the first night I got here, I noticed that nature, the divine, God, whatever you want to call it, simply was not going to accept me at that frequency, at that vibration. Your external reality is almost always a reflection of what you have going on inside of you. So if you are vibrating at a frequency of fear, you're going to attract things that you're scared of. You're going to attract things that frighten you, things that even challenge you too. And you have a choice to either overcome it or to get out of that frequency of fear. Here's the thing. Not all fears are meant to be conquered. And that's literally what just happened when I was walking and I was gonna take the hike towards the waterfall. But then when I seen all the rocks and the level of climbing I was gonna have to be doing, and I said, oh no, and I'm by myself. Oh no. Within my content, I've been talking a lot about intuition versus anxiety. And one of the last videos that I uploaded was kind of a breakdown of what a Saturn return is, things you might experience, and also me opening up about things I'm experiencing as I'm actively going through my Saturn return right now. One of the biggest things that I talked about was that a lot of times our fear and our intuition coexist with each other. And so I want to go back to what I was just saying. Not all fears are meant to be conquered. Sometimes the fear that you feel is your intuition. And as I just stated, you have two options. You can either get out of that frequency of fear by choosing something else, choosing another path, or you can overcome it. But just because you seek to overcome it, it doesn't always mean that it was meant for you to conquer. It's an option. You can conquer it, but sometimes it is okay to genuinely be scared, to genuinely understand your personal limitations, because you're human. Imagine if I would have actually taken that hike by myself and I got to the waterfall. I probably would have been like, wow, this is beautiful, oh my gosh, and I would have been able to show it to you guys on camera. But imagine what I might have had to go through and the fear and anxiety that I might have caused myself just because I wanted to get to the waterfall so bad so that I can have it on camera and film it for y'all. I'm literally looking at a waterfall right now as I'm filming this video. I'm gonna swivel the camera around so I can show it to you. You can choose how you want to see your fear. You can choose how you want to see your intuition. Sometimes your fear is your intuition. Your fear is saying, hold up, this is a little too much for you by yourself. Hold up, I'm overwhelmed. Hold up, I need to pause. I need to ground myself. I need to think about some more options, some different ways of doing things before I take this path. Sometimes that fear is your intuition. Or you can choose to see your intuition, your fear, as a challenge, as something that you can push the limits and the boundaries of as needed, as desired. I simply did not desire to do that hike by myself and prove that my intuition was fear, or literally find out the difference between fear and intuition, baby. I was gonna let it be what it was, because it was both for me in that moment. Ooh, this is too much, and my intuition is telling me it's too much for me in this moment. And I chose to honor that emotion. Now, if I had someone with me who was gonna make sure I didn't fall and bust my ass and break my $1,000 camera that I have in my hand, maybe I would have chose differently. When I came to the mountains the first night, I was overwhelmed because I got here at night. So I've never driven up a mountain before, and I definitely haven't done that by myself. You can just imagine not knowing where you are, where you're going, having the directions in the GPS, but still just kind of wandering in the dark. And here, this is the heart of Puerto Rico. So there's not all of these Americanized things. So my signal went out. I got lost at night in the mountains, and my anxiety exploded. By the time I actually turned around, got my signal back, was able to reload my directions up, and then get to my room about maybe 45 minutes later, I was full of fear. What I didn't realize was that as I was going up the mountain, nature, the divine, spirit was doing an inner work in me. I'm going to tell you, when I first even approached the opening of the mountain, where I would take the first road to start going up, right then my fear hit me. It slapped me in the face. I did not want to take that dark path winding up towards the mountain, filled on each side with jungle. But I had to do it because, well, I'm staying at a resort in the mountains, so I have to get to my room. I paid to stay there. I had to do it. This was a moment where I knew it was my fear, because in the context, in the situation, I didn't really have an option but to conquer it. And here I am, days later, and I've been driving all through the mountains, going to different parts of this city, and even going out of the mountains to another city. So I say all of that to say that the work that was being done in me by spirit, by nature, by the divine, was that my frequency, as I came up to this higher elevation, as I journeyed upward into the mountain, I was being raised out of that vibration of fear. See, when we spend time in nature, we always talk about, spend time in nature in, spiritual spaces, right? We don't always talk about how sometimes different parts of nature are going to call for different things to be brought out of you. When you are immersed in nature, especially if it's not your norm, especially if you're not used to being surrounded by nature, you're going to be scared. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to feel like a mixture of shock, awe, and anxiety, because living in cities, living in suburbs, being disconnected from nature, it does disconnect you from spirit. It does disconnect you from the divine. So when you come back into nature, there's a natural cleansing that has to happen in order for you to really be able to match the frequency of the environment that you're in. So coming into the mountains, I had to energetically have that fear cleansed and removed from my spirit, from my energy, from my being, in order to dwell here, in order to really enjoy this environment. I'm saying all this to say that sometimes your context, sometimes your circumstance is going to help you fill in the gaps of whether or not you're experiencing genuine fear, just simply fear, or if you are experiencing your intuition. And as I said, they are going to overlap sometimes, but I just gave you two examples. And one example, I have to overcome this fear because I was predestined to overcome it, right? Because I paid for an experience, but I just have to take this road and do something I've never done to get there, right? The experience is already paid for. The journey towards the experience is just me raising my frequency, going through a process of cleansing and elevation in order to arrive at the alignment, the destiny. Okay? And I'm speaking about my literal journey while I'm on vacation, my second solo trip during my Saturn return. Okay? Because I did my first solo trip right before my Saturn return. This is my second one. And it's a bigger trip. And yeah, this trip makes the other one look like a cakewalk. But I'm sharing this real experience because it correlates with our spiritual journey, right? So in that situation, that is something that was challenging me. In the other situation where I was talking about the hike, that's not something that I literally have to do. That's an option. And my fear / intuition is telling me, you do not have to do this. You don't have to put yourself through unnecessary struggle just to say you did it, just to see something that you literally can already see right in front of you, right? I'm literally at the river looking at a waterfall. Even though it's a smaller one and it's far away, I can still see it. And I'm looking at mountains and I'm surrounded by the jungle. Like, I'm good, right? So even though, yes, there was a little fear when I was on the path, ultimately, I knew my intuition was telling me no, right? But I think the biggest message, outside of just knowing how to differentiate your intuition and your fear, is that learning that fear is ultimately a vibration, right? And it's a lower vibration as well. It's not something that spirit, it's not something that God really, really wants you to dwell in. And so, as I said, when we come up against fear, we do have options. We can conquer our fear, or we can take a moment and say, what are my options, right? Do I have any other option that does not elicit this emotion or this response or this behavior that I'm experiencing within my body? Not all fear is meant to be conquered. Some fears are your intuition. However, when you know your destiny, when you have something that is already written for you, it's already paid for. It's already paid for. You're meant to be here. You're meant to experience this thing. Your fear may be the price you have to pay in order to get that experience. The divine spirit, nature, says, I will trade your fear. Trade me that frequency and I will give you this experience. Hand me your fear and I will give you a beautiful life. But we have to be willing to do the journey. We have to be willing to do things that challenge us sometimes. If you ever want to challenge yourself to raise your vibration, I challenge you to not only spend time in nature, but go to the mountains. Go to the mountains. The mountain will challenge you to raise your vibration. And when you get there, whatever frequency that you're operating at, that you may operate at a normal basis or day, or some of those frequencies that hide in the background, and we can cover them up with the TV and the phone, and we can cover them up with overworking ourselves and all of these different things. Go out in nature. That frequency that was hiding, that was being very sneaky hiding, right? It came out. That fear had to be cleansed. That fear had to be sacrificed in order for me to have this beautiful experience that I'm having right now. Whenever this timeless message reaches you, I hope it inspires you, not just to maybe explore nature, not just to visit the Caribbean islands or go to a mountain. You can do all of those things, and that's great. But even just taking the message into your daily life, I pray that as you navigate between your fear and your intuition, you're able to not only practice discernment between the two, but also I pray that you're able to see in your life when God has something predestined for you, when God says it's already been paid for, when God is showing you the path to your destiny, and it may be upward bound, and you might be scared of heights, you might be scared of whatever, you might be claustrophobic of something, you don't want to be too close to something, right? But your destiny may require you to go higher. Your destiny may require you to be close to things that scare you, or immersed in things that intimidate you, right? Whatever that is, it could be people, it could be doing something, a high skill level that, oh, I don't like doing math, but the job, your dream job requires you to do math, or your dream life requires you to do something that scares you, right? And this is a message that came through to me the other day, and I'm gonna close this video out. For many of us, your dream life, your highest timeline, is going to require you to face some level of fear, right? And that's what I'm really trying to flesh out in this video, is that you're not constantly supposed to be engaging with fear. Like, Spirit doesn't want you to feel scared and out of your body 24/7 and anxious, right? That's what I'm trying to say. That yes, fear is a valid emotion, and it's also sometimes your intuition speaking to you. It's a both and sometimes we have to honor that limit, that boundary that our body, that our senses are telling us. But then there's other times where your fear is invalid because your path, your destiny is already carved through that fear. But your journey still requires you to overcome certain things on your own, by yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you. So if you want to get to your destiny, if you want to get to your dream life, if you want to get to your highest timeline, you won't only have to raise your vibration, but you will have to be uncomfortable sometimes, because your dream life, it's an energy first before it's manifested as a reality.